Hey, what is up, guys? It's Guildspire here, and welcome back to Champions of the Fog. Today, we have a battle between two teams, Legacy versus Milkshake Mafia, and joining me on this journey is All4Domo. How you doing, All4Domo?
I'm doing fantastic. I love that WWE like styled intro.
It was a little bit inspired by that. I've had that for a while for my personal stream. I'm like, I'll just bring it into COTF.
No, I dig that, bro. You're just like you're ready and you're just coming with the drama sort of tone. I like it. It's getting us pumped.
I appreciate it. With that being said, we are getting these survivors into the lobby right now. We should be starting up soon. And good to be back for a back-to-back COTF stream. For those who did miss it, we did just stream How Do We Get Here versus Cerebral Assassins. And I think that'll be the new normal in S1. I've been going back and forth in my head what I'm going to do. But I think we are going to end up streaming, as requested by the community, every single match of COTF on the COTF channel. Now, that might not mean I'm always here. We might be tapping on a few shoulders to get some other people for some streams. That way I can, A, rest, and B, also go on my own personal stream on weekends, as in my community would miss me a bit. But we will have every match streamed in some capacity. So for all of those who did request that, you can rejoice. We will have that in Season 1, which is starting September 5th. So please, if you are a team or know a team who wants to join a competitive league, please DM me as soon as possible so I can add your roles, channels, and get your schedule up and running so we can get the first season of COTF going. Are you excited for Season 1, All4Domo?
Oh, 100%. It's going to be fun. Unfortunately, I wasn't a team in the very beginning. I kind of disbanded, and now I'm on a new team, Fort White Locker. We'll see if I play in this league. I've been playing a bunch of other stuff with them, so that's been fun. I
didn't realize that you joined 4D. That's awesome. Yeah, no, it's insane how much they have grown recently, because they were like, I remember in Vigo's Court, I joined them. Literally, I joined them off a Reddit post that Psycho Mantis put on Dead by Daylight Killers. And like, why not? I'll join Dead by Daylight competitive. I play pretty well. I stream on Twitch. And then... they have grown so much since then, since I've joined Sampletext, to where they are no longer just a team, but like a full-on organization with like 3 teams worth of teams.
Oh yeah, and I remember like my team, Loop Artists, we scrimmed them when they first sort of came into the scene, and we basically demolished them, and they were really new. They were trying to figure things out. They were also just trying to like see what comp was about, and they learned a little bit from that, and now they've become like so far from everything. So yeah, I'm pretty impressed.
Oh, trust me, I remember that, because my first introduction to Comp DBD was
against my team, I think.
It was against you guys, because they're like, okay, we want you to play against a comp team in a scrim, see what you got. And I'm like, okay, sure, I'm gonna play Legion on Cold Tower, this should be fine. And it's against freaking the previous winners of Vigo's Court. I'm like, are you guys serious? You guys couldn't have, I don't know, warned me about that, so I would have brought someone who wasn't, I don't know, Legion?
Yeah, we were really, I think I even remember that time. We were like questioning it. We're like, wait, he actually brought an M1 killer like that that we don't even need to heal against. We're just gonna push gens constantly. All right.
Hey, to be fair, in Vigo's Court rules, the points I got for that match weren't bad, all things considered. So, like, I walked away like, okay, that's pretty good. I'll take that as a victory. And then I remember, I think it was the first time we played against you guys as you rebranded from Bubba's Bullies to Loop Artists. I brought Bubba as well. And still, I think I got, like, it was a 2K that match, because I think you guys went for Hatch.
I think it was a 1K.
Was it 1K?
It was a 1K.
Okay, I think it's either 2K or 1K, because I remember that it was a dash to Hatch. With 3 people, like either 2 or 3 people out, and I think I caught someone right before Hatch.
Yeah, I think you chased that last person. We got them off hook, and then you chased the last person before they get to Hatch. Like we identified it, and they were like, "All right, just run there," and you got it. So
yep. No, I remember that.
We didn't take it.
Now those were some fun times, and like it really does show how far where Fort White Lockers was. And where even I was at that point in time as a killer to where, you know, Fort White Lockers is now. And I like the fact that I was there for a part of that journey, and I love to have seen them grow. Of course, now I'm on Sampletext, and, you know, even watching now over the course of COTF, watching Sampletext grow as well has been really cool.
Oh yeah, I remember playing at Samplex as well, and all their seeing them as well. Like I think they've had a ton of roster changes. Like you said, you're on there now. They have a bunch of new people. I think Kieran is still on there, right? I think
Yep.
he's the one like consistent thing I didn't know about Samplex. Everyone else is like kind of shifted a bit.
Just want to real quick. It does seem like the entire lobby's readied up. I just want to double check with Shelby if we're good on builds.
I didn't want to interrupt. Yes, you are good to go on both sides.
All right.
You know, we had a little bit of a monologue there. You know, we're going
geeking out
back
about
into our history.
Exactly, the pass.
But we are going to jump right on into this first match between Legacy and Milkshake Mafia. Going into this first match, I do want to make a quick disclaimer. Unfortunately, Legacy did have an issue where one of those players is MIA. Due to that fact, at this moment in time, this is going to be considered an exhibition match where Milkshake Mafia has taken the win. But with that being said, I think it's still going to be some really enjoyable comp gameplay. So I'm looking forward to seeing what, I think, Milkshake Mafia is going first. So let's see what Milkshake Mafia brings to the table in game number 1 on Ironworks of Misery.
They are the killing first, you said?
Yes, I do believe Milkshake Mafia is killing first on Ironworks.
Right. Nice. All right, well, it's a pretty big map. I'm curious to see what happens. I assume they're going to try to have some sort of mobility-based killer or something that can hold a 3-gen on a map like this.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. I know that last game between How Did We Get Here and Cerebral Assassins, we saw Nurse on this map, which wasn't bad, but in this league, we don't have range on Nurse, and so she did definitely get punished for that decision a little bit here and there.
You basically have to be really excellent at getting downs, especially because there is some open territory in various spots in that map. So if you are good with your blinks, you can get quick downs, especially with like double recharge. So yeah, maybe just didn't work out that way.
Exactly. But we see a demo, and in some ways, they are exactly what you're mentioning. If they do use their portals well, they are a high mobility killer.
Correct, yes. I think that they just need to get some set up. They're probably going to run one to the other side of the corrupt zone. Maybe just get 3 down and then hopefully get in a chase and get a quick down. Oh, looks like they're going to put one up here and try to like come off as an assassin. Yeah, look, right above the gen. Hey, I love this idea.
That is a really good idea. I kind of wish, though, that they took the time to go all the way up and break the door, because if a survivor gets up there, they're still going to have to, you know, go for that chase or just drop it completely.
Oh, it's going to be a pain, but at least with Demo, he has some add-ons that can make that faster to break pallets with his shred, so maybe it's not a huge concern for him right now.
True, because what we're seeing there is that rat liver.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember what the whistle does at this point in time.
I'm forgetting to. I haven't played Demo in a hot second. Oh, we see a Hex Totem right there, and I think the survivor may have seen that as well. At least when they're going to loop back on the side, it's going to be called out.
Exactly.
Oh. Whiffing, they thought the Neo was going to drop that pallet early, but did not happen.
Yeah,
I'm
a little bit surprised that they went for that shred, because in my opinion, they weren't really looking behind them there. So it was kind of obvious to what the play was. But looks like, obviously, they decided to go for the firecracker play. They gained some distance. Demo setting up portals so that way they have knowledge on Ruin at all points of time. And I wonder, is that what the whistle does? I know there's an add-on now that basically activates Killer Instinct no matter whether you're using the Abyss power or not.
That is exactly what it does. Yes. It also reduces your detection radius.
Do they not need to be active though first, right? So
they need to be active.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Oh, this might be a mistake here by Jake that could cost him a down. And oh, what a ballsy play by Jake. Continues to run instead of dropping the pallet, knowing he would get hit at that moment. And another gen already popping. And no downs coming out of it yet. That is unfortunate for Demo.
But Dwight now needs, or not Dwight, sorry. Demo needs to make a decision now of going back for the Ruin or not, as we do see Killer Instinct activated. It looks like the survivors were privy to that play and did leave Ruin early. But Demo's in an awkward position now, I do want to point out, is that all portals are down, meaning that they cannot get from one place to another. They would have to find an already placed portal. So if these survivors are smart and don't cleanse portals, Demo is pretty much powerless outside of his shred.
Oh, 100%. And I mean, he has some good spread on the but I'm not even sure if he needs it right now. He still does not have it down. We see a lie. No, it's not a lie. That was just a whiff.
No, I think that was a light. That was a little bit of an extra speed boost off the LT, because I think for the mind game, they should have had the distance necessary for the down, but we saw Nancy already on to the next tile.
Like the case for me as well. And looks like they're just going to go to each pallet. I want to say pre-drop at this moment because, look, he doesn't have a hook right now. He's in a really bad spot again. They're pre-drop of the pallet. Really smart play on the Nancy's behalf.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying for a red light mind game trick on the pallet camp, which was really smart, but they turned a little bit too soon. I think this demo might not really have those well practiced based on, you know, how they played that red light.
Oh, and that barrel kind of just getting in his way. Probably wouldn't be able to hit that shred either way as well. Nancy getting caught out in the corner and running into the corner, doing a smart thing just to waste time. I imagine another gen's about to pop here, honestly. I do not see any other way that they were just wasting their time doing nothing. And there it is. There's the gen. Perhaps another one if they split up. I am curious to see. It could be a one gen, all gens, not one gen, one hook, all gens done. But we'll see how this demo plays it.
Yeah, I mean, Demo right now is in a really, really awkward position. We see one gen out in the distance with no real, way of getting there other than walking. No. And with 0 portals at their disposal right now, I think they may have spread themselves just a little bit too thin with their portals, as these survivors are knowledgeable enough to say, hey, we don't need to cleanse portals. We just let them sit there and, let Demo do his own thing. And beautiful body block by that Nancy.
Using that borrowed time instantly, right?
But I will note something. Did you note something right there?
And also, they had the DT one. Oh, wait. What happened?
Yeah, because they had adrenaline.
Ooh, they had the last gen pop. I didn't even realize that for a second.
Yep, last gen popped. We saw their mending go away because adrenaline heals 1 full health state. Yep. And technically speaking, mending is considered a 4th health state between healthy, injured, and dying.
I've had that happen a few times, and honestly, I'm all for that, especially if the gate is almost already opened, and I just, zip away.
Yeah,
it's healthy.
It's not bad at all. I mean, it gave that Nancy the distance needed to get out, and at this point in time, I think Milkshake Mafia's best plan is to camp out this hook here, and, take the 1 hook 2 progressions for those extra points.
I agree, but I'm not sure if the survivors will let them, honestly. I think they may be really confident, and they know that they can probably bring in 3 people and get everyone out. But the door is kind of far away, so that might not be a hugely feasible idea. He might get one either way. I
think it would depend on what perks this Jake has as far as exhaustion perks are concerned. If he has a sprint burst and has BT applied, that's one thing. He's absolutely out. If it is, no exhaustion perk at all, and he's going to have to make the entire trek, and they're going to have to take upwards of 3 body blocks. And not to mention, Demo does have save the best for last, as we have seen those really quick recoveries. It could mean a very difficult position for these survivors to be in.
Yeah, and I think what I said is coming to fruition here. They're making their game plan. They're going to body block that hook. They're going to try to make sure that he can't get a grab off. And boom, there comes the body block in. Ace getting the save. He's going to try to tunnel down the Nancy now, which will use the pallet. They're going to try to just all take protection hits now.
Yeah, but
Ace got a hit there.
I think that Demo here played that incorrectly, where they could have actually gotten a hit on any of the non-obsessions throughout the entire way through and gotten more stacks of save and probably would have gotten it down faster. Now they are down to 0 stacks of save, but at the same time, Mia has now been hooked, and so this is more points in Demo's favor. I mean, they got 1 person out, sure, and they got a little bit closer to those execates, but was it really worth it for the potential gain of 4 points in Demo's favor?
I'm not sure. I think they have to get the 4-man out at this point. Otherwise, they should have just left instantly, as we were suggesting they would do.
Yeah, because that is, not only did Demo get the additional 4 points, but he also got, I think, 3 points from a progression on that last hook as well. So that's 7 points additional that Demo basically got for free at this point in time.
And he essentially had nothing when they only had 2 hooks. And here comes the 3-man again. Gonna try once more to get all 4 out, which I said they have to do essentially at this moment in time.
And I will say for these survivors, they're doing really well about, making sure they're body blocking for that unhook. Doing a really good job of managing to get in between, the survivor unhooking and forcing the Demo to have to go for a hit instead.
Oh, 100%. He looks like he's doing some mind games here. breaking the pallet. Do they go for the door? They do not go for the door. They're going to loop back around again, maybe try to get some buy blocks in if they're going to try to heal. No, they're just going to go the other door where everyone else is waiting. I think they will get it.
Yeah.
You can see, they reset the Jake, so the Jake's going to come in and rape and body block. So I don't see how they're going to get out of this. No, yeah, Jake right there, as I said, waiting to take the body block. And they do get the 4-man out. That is what they needed once I said that, and they executed perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, in this case, they do give Demo those additional 7 points, basically. Yeah. At the same time, because they got the 4-man out, that's an additional 12 points in their pocket. So
I really think it might have been worth it.
Yeah, sure. it was worth it in the long run, but it could have been really dicey if Demo had played that just a little bit better, knowing that Nancy had life on that pallet, because she's just going to take the hit, take the life, and she was going to be gone. It was just that case. If Demo would have gotten to a portal sooner and was able to teleport to that exit gate, as we saw at the end, he probably could have cut them off and ended up with another down.
Oh, 100%. I think there's just so many little factors that came into how Demo played. They had some okay decisions at the very end of the game, but throughout, they didn't get it down early enough. They chased also the obsession with Save the Best for Last in the very beginning, which was the Nancy. Just did not have a good time at all, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, absolutely, no doubt about that. But overall, not bad play. With the end of that match, Shelby, what are the scores?
Your score currently is Legacy with 50. They had a perfect all 5 gens and everybody out. And then Demo had 15. He had 3 hooks and then the 1 progression.
Not bad at all. So Ozzy Legacy coming out in front of Milkshake Mafia. That gap's still small enough to where Milkshake Mafia can bring it on back. But it's going to be up to the Survivor team now on the Ironworks of Misery.
100%. Let's see who they bring. I'm curious if they're going to bring like someone equal in power to Demo, or they're going to go more ham and bring someone top tier.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, a Legacy right now, as they have not played a lot of matches, is going to be able to pretty much bring anyone they want. In Season 0, since I wanted everyone to get a sense for the league, I allowed those entering in later in the season to pretty much use whoever they want. And so, we might see a Spirit, we might see a Nurse. It's going to be interesting to see what Legacy brings to the table. And if they decide to just go all out and bring the S tiers on their back-to-back killer matches.
I want to see if Legacy has a good Blight on their team. I could see Blight doing fairly decent on this map if you know how to do various 180s and curves and flicks.
Yeah, no, that would be interesting. I mean, it's not a bad map for Blight, I will say. As of recent, I've been playing a ton of Blight because I'm doing what's called the 6 million blood point challenge. Where Scary Drop Bear, another content creator, did 6 million blood points in under 30 days. And they put a challenge out to the community saying, hey, let's see who else can do this. I'm like, I can do that, no problem. So I'm currently on day 13 of that, and I'm on point for that. But I'm playing nothing but Blight because he's an amazing blood point farmer, to say the least.
Bro, whenever I play Blight, I feel like I get like 32k each time.
Pretty much.
Fun. And then I always get the sweat squads, which I love, going against any type of team that is really like competent. And I almost always end up with the 4Ks. Blight is just so much fun, and on this map in particular, they have decent collision on like the trees and certain of the tiles. And if you know how to do various little techs like the hug tech and Z flicks and such, you can do very well on this map. In comparison to how Demo, which is a bit more limited in that regard.
No, 100%. That's definitely a big factor, and something that, I've been learning slowly but surely with Blight as I play him more and more, due to the fact that, I was able to kind of learn under Jazzy a little bit, who played a lot of Blight, as I was like, okay, I feel like I'm competent at Blight, but now I need to learn Hug Tech, and so I've now integrated Hug Tech into my arsenal, and, pretty much using my power non-stop, and as far as I'm playing against, I've not been all too happy about that.
No, I mean, it looks weird. Like, I'll admit, like, since, I know about it, it's hard to catch me out of it. So, say, like, there's a good Blight, like, say, like, Jazzy or another good Blight. Like, I'm aware if they're looking down like that. I'm like, oh, he's going to try to hug this and go around.
Yep.
So I'm just yes, and go this way. But yeah, there's definitely things you can do, but it just looks freaky because like, oh, if he runs into that, he should collide. But no, you just hug off it and then you come up and hit him.
Yep.
And they're just like confused. They're like, wait, this is a hacker. Hold on. Hold on. Hold the horse's report.
Yeah, and a lot of people just are not keen on that information just yet, and still are learning slowly but surely what Blight can do.
Well, I think it's just because there are not enough like Blights that are at that top tier.
Oh, absolutely.
So they don't know that that's the thing. Like when I do a lot of the hug techs around like Shaq or various, like cars or boxes, people get freaked out. They're like, wait, I was just standing here and he hit me for no reason.
Yeah, no, that is a big factor. And I think, obviously some of the bigger names that we see and I hear a lot often, because I'm playing a lot of Blight, is like Lilith, for example, who is very well known. And I think they're obviously probably one of the best known Blights at this current point in time. And I'd love to see someone else, take up that mantle and kind of challenge that and see what else is out there for Blight gameplay.
Yeah, I've essentially learned almost all my Blight stuff from Lilith and then Jazzy, from what I've seen, like when I've gone against him and such. It's insane. Like, I think it's also just like the player base needs to learn certain things that they just don't know about because it's not common enough. Like there's certain things you can do against Spirit that no one really does. Even though, it's still a guessing game with Spirit to an extent, there's still small things you can do that can improve your chances, a tiny bit.
Yeah.
And same thing with, like, I think one kind of cool thing is that with Nurse, at least, just because there's so many people that have played and there are a bunch of good nurses out there, that a lot of people do know decent counterplay and things to do against a Nurse in general. But, like, of course, it comes down to execution of how well the player goes and, how good the Nurse is in general. But with Blight, it's just a whole different mind game. I want to see a Blight now. All this Blight talk's making me want to see Blight.
Who knows?
If it's like a pig, bro. If it's like a pig, I'm just going to be disappointed.
We'll have to wait and see what they bring to the table. I'm definitely interested in what Legacy will bring, as, we definitely have not seen a lot of their killer play as of yet. This is really their second official match of Season 0, and their first match, they were in another exhibition match against Torment, which is now known as Regicide. So it'll be interesting to see if they do bring some S tiers. We did see some Spirit and Nurse gameplay from Legacy, which was not bad.
Well, now time to bring another S tier. Come on.
Exactly.
You've already committed to 2 of them. Come on.
But with that being said, I do believe we're still waiting on the build from Legacy, if I'm not mistaken, or are we good to go, Shelby?
We are good to go. They gave it to me earlier, so we are good on all accounts.
Gotcha. In that case, I'll switch over to Spectator and let them know that we're good to go. And I'll be switching over to the main screen, where you see Pastry Master as Feng Min, the Kush Wizard as Claudette, Nettie Darko as Dwight, and Cake as Nancy, with Crafty as Killer on the Ironworks of Misery.
Might I just say as well, the new Dwight and Claudette P3 shirts are absolutely horrible.
Really? How so?
I don't like them.
Are they too bright now?
Yeah, they're just like look at the Claude shirt. Before it was like super dark and blended up and you could barely see it. And now it's like, oh, I got a bright red shirt over here. Look at this. And then with the Dwight shirt is like barely any blood and it just has like white. I don't know. It just doesn't look as good as in the past.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. At the same time, I'm kind of okay with it because, it means that blendettes can't blend as easily anymore.
That's true. I don't really... I wear like the P3 face and the pants now, which I think look nice, but I don't like the shirt at all, so I just wear like the yellow one that was in the Rift. Makes sense.
Yeah, for me, my go-to survivor is always going to be Felix, and I'm quite happy with the fancy Felix. Have that. I think it's the traditional. I think we're on the wrong map here.
It's the wrong map.
Yep. You mention it time and time again to players, and they just don't pay attention. I don't think they should be playing it out. If we could give a quick ping to Legacy and let them know that this is the wrong map, that we need to be on Ironworks of Misery, that would be much appreciated. As for some reason, Crafty is not DC'd, and nor is Milkshake Mafia.
Yeah,
So if they could give get a quick DC, that would be much appreciated. In the interim, we are privy to the knowledge that they're going to be playing the Twins, which
I'm
is
disappointed.
interesting.
They're a good killer, but I'm disappointed it's not Blight.
Got too much blight in your knowledge there, but there's the DC. We'll get onto the right map. And obviously, Legacy is a bit newer to this comp scene, so they may have not known. I know Crafty has been added recently, so hopefully they are well aware now that it is on the Ironworks of Misery for the first match.
All right, but think about it. If you're in a comp scene that you want teams put on Ironworks, would you want to go to somewhere like The Game or Ormond as your killer? No.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I
No
wouldn't
doubt
even
about that.
chance it. Just logically, I wouldn't chance it. I'd be like, no, I'm going to the same map. I don't know. That's how
I feel that. I know there are some leagues that do fully randomize it though. I remember I
That
played
doesn't make sense, bro. Imagine getting the game and one other team getting like what, Hawkins. So completely different for survivors.
Oh, 100%.
Like that's like automatically just a win based off map. You don't even need to watch the game. Like, oh, this team got this, the other team got that, win.
Yeah, I forget what tournament it was. I think like they did random maps, so we didn't know until like last moment. And I think thankfully I was playing Freddy on Mother's Dwelling, so it worked out perfectly for me. But I had no idea beforehand. I was like, well, I guess I'm just gonna pick Freddy and hope for the best.
I mean, that he's not like he could be, viable on almost any map because of his teleport.
Exactly.
So, that's like a safe bet. I'd say that, and like, I think Wraith right now in his current state, he's like, good teams can still beat him fairly easily. You can get down a lot of pallets and you can get injuries, but if they body block, then you're gonna have a hard time. If they don't do that, you can probably do quite well.
I mean, if you want to see like high tier gameplay versus Wraith, I think it was True Talent played a match against Oracle, or was it Agony?
Yeah, I'll be honest though, like if I might just like jet in, he did not do good with Wraith in that match. He is not a comp player. He did not know what he was doing. Like he could have gone down, he could have done things, he could have like pressured different areas, but he was like so focused on the chase. He's like, well, the chase, man, that's so important. But he wasn't actually like chasing off gems. He wasn't really doing much. When I was watching it, I'm like, no, baby, don't.
No, I 110% agree, and I think Dowsy, commentated over the videos and said it best. Like, True is not playing in a comp mindset, and he's still playing as if it's pubs. And by like the very end, where True found was like, okay, I'm done. Like after an hour of scrims, basically, he is like, okay, he started to actually figure it out and going, oh, okay, I need to play differently in comp. When you're playing against a competent team, you need to play completely differently from how you normally would.
Yeah, you can get pallets out of the way, but then you go and But yeah, in that respect, I would like to see, like, again, if necessary, a Wraith. Again, Wraith, if you body block and you prioritize gens and you pre-throw pallets, you'll be fine, because he still is an M1 killer at heart.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the things I love to do against Wraith is I don't even P-drop pallets. I go to a pallet, I sit there, and I go, all right, are you going to uncloak, or what are we going to do here? And I wait until the very last moment, drop the pallet, and at that point, they re-cloak up, and I'll just start vaulting in front of them, going, all right, I'm going to make it so that you have to uncloak again against me in order to break this pallet. They go to break it, move to the next pile, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat.
And again, we have another, I think someone didn't actually load into the lobby, so...
DBD being DBD apparently, so I guess we do get another DC. It's painful when it happens, but it is what it is.
I actually just want to see any game now. It can be a Twins. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, it does look like, okay, that makes sense. I saw Netty Dorko get back onto DBD. I was like, that's strange. I'm pretty sure they're in the lobby. And that would make sense now that they DC'd because of a DBD crash. Well, at the end of the day, we've seen these things happen before, and I'm sure they'll happen again. But we'll jump right back into this match once Netty Dorko is back in match.
100%. I guess we can continue the conversation then a little bit while we're waiting. One thing I like, though, if I were to use Wraith in my comp, I'd use Shadow Dance and Windstorm. because Shadow Dance, if they just pre-drop those pallets, you can get them out of the way so fast. Like,
True.
you're on almost in a second. So I'm like, oh yeah, I dare you to drop those. I can get through like 10 pallets in a minute.
Yeah,
right, so
there's definitely that play. Another thing that I did use in comp that I do like on Wraith is on any maps like with a lot of corn or a lot of bushes, like Dead Dog or Coldwind, is running All Seen with Swift Hunt. That way you're just able to pretty much zip around the map and they have no idea where you are, but you know where they are at all points in time.
right, I don't see that being a bad idea in general. Again, against I think moderate teams to like slightly decent or slightly good teams, I think it can work if you play Wraith really well.
Yep.
But against the top tier, if they're playing efficiently, taking body blocks and such, it really won't come out in your favor that much.
Yeah, so I guess in that case you'd want probably what, Serpent plus Brutal Strength at that point?
I mean, I think it comes down to like the Shadow Dance and then Windstorm just for the extra speed to like you could leave a chase instantly and then go back all the way over to another gen and pressure them off where you know you've broken pallets. So I think it's a lot of the time would be decision making with that because you are still an M1 killer with a speed boost out of yours, so you can kind of mind game some spots, but you are an M1 killer to an extent, right? And if they have a flashlight user that actually knows what they're doing, they can also burn you out, so you have to like come out at certain spots.
I mean, we saw exactly that during the true matchup against Oracle, where I forget, I think it was Aaron was like on them with a flashlight 24/7, just light burning them again and again and again.
I think it's funny because in like certain things like pubs, a lot of race. There's been a lot more race in pubs recently, just because of his buff. And it's funny how many race forget that they can be burned out of their power.
Right, because it never happens.
I know, because so many survivors with the flashlight, they'll just keep running. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna turn and I'm gonna put this flashlight on you, and you're gonna burn.
That reminds me of a pub match I had the other day, where I had a survivor with a flashlight complain to me about how I was teleporting to my hag traps. And like, you have a flashlight.
I don't know, it's like the one big thing that's like the huge counter. If you know, like even in pubs, like especially in comp, if I'm the flashlight person and I know it's hag, I'm like, oh damn, I'm just gonna follow her around and be like unproductive technically on gens, but I'm gonna be so productive in like destroying her web that she can't do crap.
Exactly. Yeah, I find that those little things, another good example is Nurse, which I've seen a few times in this league get used pretty well, is the fact that you can also lock Nurse out of her second blink if you know the timing well enough with a flashlight or a firecracker.
The flashlight on the Nurse, I've done that a few times. It's a bit tricky depending on like how long they're holding it and like when you start the flashlight. You have to be so utterly precise. I do that sometimes in pubs just to like make them look a weird way, and then you can like use Dead Hard or something, or they mess up because they're like trying to like avoid it. But
yeah, it happened to me. I think it was one time I was playing against Otofu, and Otofu actually pulled it off on me on Shaq because he knew I was going to not predict blink and instead just go to the corner. So he held his flashlight on corner off the first blink and just held it there. I'm like, well, that was the thing.
You actually did? That's actually really smart. I wish I saw that.
I actually have the video up on YouTube against Otofu. It was like random. I was just doing some practice of Nurses back when I was still relatively new with her. I was like, okay, I'm just going to do some blood point farming, practice my Nurse, and I looked at my log and went, is that Otofu?
Get bullied on stream like, ah, damn, it's a baby Nurse.
It actually wasn't bad. I think I got a 2K that match and actually gave him a pretty good run for the money. It's on Suffo Pit, so I was just sitting on my 3-gen for like the majority of the game.
I'll have to check that out then. That kind of sounds like a fun game, with, especially if you're new. Because I always find the ones where, like, you know, those games where, like, they're not, like, the best Nurse and you're not really the best survivors. It's kind of entertaining at times.
Exactly. But looks like, I don't know what's going on with DBD, but looks like has some trouble with the lobby. So I'm going to recommend that Crafty probably restarts the lobby. I don't know if it's the lobby that's having issues or it's DBD being DBD, because that was like an insta crash.
Yeah, I just say like almost all of them just like restart their games and then Crafty makes a new lobby.
Yeah, Shelby, if you could just go around and let them know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I will let them know.
Well, in that case, as we're sitting here and they're going to be doing that, let's go back to their intermission screen where it looks like my video has froze again. So give me 1 second while we fix that real quick. But with that being said, you know, it is very interesting to see how people interact with pubs versus comp differently. And honestly, it's a completely different mindset to be in. And it's very hard for some people to wrap their mind around. And I see that all the time when, like, my team Simultax is trying to try out new players and kind of see them how they play. And it's very obvious when I see someone unhook without BT and not let someone stay on hook for upwards of those 59 seconds. I'm like, why did you do that? It's like, you have 60 seconds per hook state. Let them stay on hook. It's okay.
See, they don't think that. They're the pub mindset is like, I need to save right away. Monkey do, monkey see. It's honestly what I compare to, like, kind of pub players to, like, monkeys in the sense where they just do things, whatever seems natural.
Absolutely. I mean, there is last night another good example of that was I had hooked someone in bottom of Haddonfield basement, and two people were down there on hook. One person got unhooked with BT applied, and then they went for an unhook. I'm like, oh, I don't need to worry about BT or DS. Grab. And I was like, that was a bad play. And that was a really good example of, like, if you just had left, you would have been fine. The other survivor with BT would have gotten the person off a hook. I wouldn't have to even worry. And it's like, okay, well, they're good to go. And I'm like, I'm just going to put you back on hook, kill you, and let's end the game.
I think that's where, like, a loop in their brain just quits. And they think, oh, wait, I have BT. I'm invincible.
Yep.
And then, like, oh, a grab is the thing. Rip.
Yep, well, it's the same thing with a lot of survivors are going to body block of BT, and which I respect. I love seeing survivors body block. I'm actually thinking of doing, after my 60 million blood point challenge, I'm going to do Survivor 101 videos and Killer 101 videos and DVD 101 videos on different things. And the first video I want to do is health states and hook states and how you're using them wrong. Because most pub survivors don't understand how to use their health states and their hook states to their advantage. And one of the things is body blocking. You just don't see enough solo queue survivors body blocking for teammates who are on death hook, for example. The thing is, sometimes they go a little bit too far into that direction, and what ends up happening instead is that they body block with BT, and they're like, oh, the kill's gonna hit me. And I just sit there and look at them going, I can wait out the 12 seconds. This is fine.
Yeah, like, my whole principle is that if I'm gonna body block with BT, I'm gonna know that I can make it to another area.
Yep, exactly.
Like, I have to know. And then you also have to recognize that if you're standing in a doorway or you're doing something to body block, that you have to recognize that the killer is waiting it out, and then you immediately have to jet off. Even if you're protecting someone, your life that you were just on the hook is not worth it if they're waiting it out, and you have to get to that pallet or that safe loop.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, so it comes just down to situational awareness, because there's a ton of survivors who are like, oh, I got BT, and then they're like, oh, why isn't the killer hitting me? And they have like 2 seconds left, and they're like, oh, crap, pallet, and they don't get there.
Yeah, exactly. I see it way too often. People in endgame chat will just be yelling like, why did you tunnel me? It's like, because you're sitting in front of me with BT and you're not moving, so I'm not going to move, and we'll just sit here and have a staring contest for 12 seconds, and I'm going to win it.
No, that, exactly that. You just have to, I mean, I feel like if these people, if it was like a real life situation and these like same rules applied, I'd be very scared as a survivor, because if it was like pubs, because I'd be like, these people are dumb. They have no wish to survive. They don't have any survival instinct in them.
I saw it was a Reddit post, and someone was like, I think it was an Ask Reddit one, where someone went, if you were given $1 million to go into the last game that you played, would you take it? And the person just posted on DBD forums goes, I don't think I would.
No, I don't think I would either, unless I was playing with like one of my friends. If I had like one friend and then the rest were 2 idiots, I'd be like, I could probably survive. But if it was just me, I'd like, it depends, you know, what's their mindset, you know. I don't know if I could do that. I don't know. That'd be hard.
Yeah, that's fair, that's fair. I mean, if I was playing Killer, I think I'd be fine. For the most part, I'm 4K'd, so the entity won't punish me. But if I'm playing Survivor, I'd be a little bit more trepidatious.
Oh, at least with Killer, you have control over your action and what's going on. Like, Survivors can obviously impact that with how well they're playing, but at least you have control. When you're playing solo pubs, you only have a very limited amount of control, especially if you have to go out and like, oh, this person's just on the hook, I have to go save them again. I can't really loop here. Oh, I gotta go and try to do this gen. Oh, another person's down. I gotta go save them again. And it's just a cycle. It's like, I haven't touched a gen in 5 minutes. Yeah. Well, those are fun games. But yeah, also for the game coming up here, we know it's Twins. So Twins on this map isn't half bad. Again, they have mobility. As I said, they good killers on this map have mobility. And the Victor does have that. So what I need to see from these survivors is grouping up. They need to be grouping up constantly. They need to be resetting. Now, we don't know how good this person is, Kraft, on Twins. So they may be missing their attacks. We don't know what's going to happen with that. So maybe they don't need to worry. But a good Twins on this map can definitely sentry Charlotte in a good place with the 3-gen and go off with Victor. So we'll see what happens.
No, 110%. I mean, that, 150 speed on Victor, and especially when you introduced the Forest Stew, increasing it by, what does it bring him up to, like, 155, 160?
All I know is that he's, he's Speedrunner. Like, he's like an anime cartoon. He just zips around the map instantly. Or Roadrunner, is that it? Roadrunner.
Yes, the Roadrunner.
Yeah, Roadrunner. Yeah, that's what he's just like, he's there. Like, oh, I just saw Charlotte by Shaq. You're like all the way on the other side of the map. Oh, no worries. Twins comes out. Ah, damn it, he's going to be on me in 5 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. And with that being said, I think that's really the power of Victor. And I have a lot of people who are just picking up Twins, and they ask me, why am I losing all my matches? And they go, are you using Charlotte for the majority of the match? Yeah, I'm like, okay, you're doing it wrong. Like, use Victor for the majority of the match. You start off with Victor, you find survivors, you hit a survivor, you go with Charlotte, you drop them, and apply Sloppy Butcher, what have you. And then you just injure everyone, slug them out, and you got a good game.
Exactly. And it just also, again, goes from, like, bad Twins to, like, mediocre, and mediocre is where you use Twins, Victor a lot, but you don't sentry Charlotte in the right place.
Exactly.
So let's see what happens here. I think that if Basement is in main here, that's going to be really good for Twins if they can get a hook down there and they can just sentry Charlotte nearby. That's going to be really nasty. And his corrupt spawn didn't seem too bad. He has a lot of the gens in the area I think he wants to protect here already open.
Yeah, it's not great, but it's not horrible, right? Because with that middle spawn, the corrupt is not grouped out, so you have those like little pockets of active gens. But thankfully, they're able to find the Nancy early, get a hit through the pallet, and also push him off the ruins. So that was pretty nicely done.
One unfortunate thing is they already did find the one Hex Totem, so they're going to be on that pretty soon after. They are going to Victor right away to get that down, which is a smart thing. Honestly, I probably would have thrown that pallet down if I was the Nancy, and the Nancy goes down almost instantly because of that mistake. God Pallet, just don't even be afraid to chuck that thing in comp.
Yeah, I have too many survivors when I'm playing Survivor going, why'd you drop God Pallet? Like, because they don't want to die? I think that's reasonable.
They think it's like God. They're like legit God. Like, it's an almighty thing you need to worship. It's like, God Pallet, no.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I respect the fact that you don't want to use it too early, but if it means that I'm not going to go down or take a health state, then abso-freaking-lutely.
In particular, the first chase of the game is the most important. Now, I will say that Nancy did a good job of going into the corrupt area, so there could be a gen that's going to pop right here, maybe even 2 gens if they were efficient enough. And it looks like they did finish the one right here, which seemed like a solo gen with the sprint burst on the Thane. Does not take the vault. That might be a hit here then.
Yeah, it's going to be a hit no matter what. And I will notice, that since that was a one-person gen, it meant that the other 3 were more likely than not all on separate gens. Which means that I think that not only we're going to see 2 gens pop off, I think there's a 3rd one in the mix coming up soon.
I think there is as well. He might just, if he doesn't get this down here right now, Firecracker coming out, gets the hit though. Perfect. There's the 3rd gen, as you said. They were all 3 on separate gens. Really well done by Milkshake Mafia right there. Coming back to Hook. Maybe going to try to secure this 2nd stage, but not close enough yet, honestly. Oh, here it comes.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you're Claudette, take the hit and get the save. But honestly, the Victor could have played that a little bit smarter and waited for the pounce and just waited as long as possible to try and interrupt the save. And maybe if those split seconds could have gotten the 2nd stage.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, again, I think with the mistake that the Twins made on this match is that they went and they chased the Nancy down into the corrupt area, so allowed those 3 gens to pop.
On the bright side, Twins does find Nancy again, and since she was on the totem, that does mean that DS is not in play. So Twins can now chase Nancy without issue and rehook her at their leisure.
100%. This needs to be a tunnel mindset. You only have 2 gens right now. Oh, camping the pallet. No!
I mean, really smart play by Nancy. She baited out the pallet. You know, Twins was thinking, okay, well, I can pounce off this, no problem. And she just dodges last second. Amazing play in that regard.
No, I think that Nancy did the smart thing there as well. Pre-dropping the pallet, very smart. You are injured. There are 3 people injured right now. So if Victor can get some sort of snowball right here, they could get a few people down. This could really slow the game down. But again, using Charlotte right now, not even trying to bring Victor out, which you should do in this scenario.
Yeah, not to mention that, but Crafty here forgetting that they already threw that pallet earlier and could have gotten a lot of good distance.
Yeah, no need to mind game that at all. Dead Hard coming out just for distance and time, but it's not going to do anything at all. And as I said, you know, 3 people are injured, but they are resetting as we speak. Gonna try to get this Nancy down, I assume.
Yeah, I don't know why Nancy, like, honestly, you know, the Twins is looping someone or chasing someone in this area. Why be on Ruin? Just sit on a gen, ignore Ruin, and get someone to heal you as soon as possible.
And here's the thing, honestly. I wouldn't even be touching Ruin. They have 3 gens done, and I mean, about to get the 3rd hook right now, but they didn't even need to be worried about Ruin. They had 3 gens pop within the first hook. There was no reason they need to be bothered with Ruin because they have so much more pressure compared to the Twins right now.
Exactly. Like, if I'm thinking that there's pop in play, I can see that argument a little bit more to where you don't want Ruin out. But at the same time, I will say this, you know, we're in a scenario now to where we see, obviously, there was Undying. You know, survivors are well aware of that. Ruin did not go out on that first. So either there's Undying or they hit, you know, Devour Hope. Whereas now they're in a scenario to where if they get Ruin, they can at least play around it a little bit better. But there's still that chance of Pop being in the Twins' back pocket to use at their, you know, to their advantage.
100%. And it looks like they swung through that pallet and was a little bit unfortunate. The Nancy did have balance and got them away from that. I'm just going to come back to the hook where there is another injured Dwight, likely, unless the Dwight is on a gen. He just wants to tunnel this Nancy out, honestly, I think.
In this case, Claw dead. But yeah, it's going to be interesting, and I think that might have not been a bad play. You had a relatively 50-50 shot. Is the Unhooker going to be injured or healthy? And in this case, hard to say, as we actually didn't see the Unhooker at all, as they immediately went for the Claudette.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to miss again. You can't miss. There we go. Get the down, but honestly, I'd just slug this out and go and patrol in my gens. You are in Victor right now. Oh, I'm not sure if picking up is the right play right here.
Yeah, with 3 people injured, I say slug out, let them continuously reset, especially since your gen regression is now gone. You really do need a snowball here because there's potentially 2 other people on 1 gen, and that gen's going to pop within 47 seconds. Though they do see the fact that basement is here, and they could go for some altruism plays.
I did say in the very beginning of the game that if the Twins could get a hook in the basement, this could be crazy. Now, please sentry Charlotte right here, right by basement. Please, don't go anywhere else. Yes.
So, far enough, but they could have actually been right at the top of the stairs, I do believe, on that basement, where they could have basically body blocked them out from being able to really go anywhere. And Twins making a bit of a mistake. If you listen closely, there's actually multiple people on that gen working on it while they went for Nancy, and they even see Disco on that gen, which means there's 1 person injured, 1 person healthy on that gen. That gen's about to pop off any second now, and yes, you do get the hook on Nancy, but still.
Yeah, there goes the gen right now, and I assume they're going to be sprinting right over to that Claude on the hook.
That'd be my guess, but it is possible that they might opt to try and get the exit gates first, but we do see that Claude only has, like, what, 10 seconds left? So they're going to really have to hope that the 2 people on hook were not those with BT. And we do see Figment at the front. That tells me that Claudette does not have BT applied.
Waiting it out just to be safe.
There's Dead Hard.
No, you wasted too much time.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, if I'm looking at that scenario and I see Fingman in front at the stairs, that tells me they do not BT.
Yeah, and right now, honestly, you should pull out Victor, get it down really quickly in Claude, go to that gate, you can get another quick down because they're all injured right now. This is the time to use Victor.
110%. And not just to mention that, but we saw Nancy nearby and additional scratch marks. There are 3 people in this area, and there's a lot of value with the shack.
Please, bring out the adult male. Please. Please.
Yeah, I think
Small
this
adult male.
this is showing to Legacies, showing that they are not necessarily confident in their Twins gameplay here.
Oh, they're
That
down now.
they are, very much focused on those M1s from Charlotte and opting to go for that over the potential downs with Victor and slugging out the game. Because I think they could have arguably gotten 2-3 people down here within the same amount of time, and instead they're going to see 3 people out instead.
There was a few spots where I said that they should have just slugged completely. What are they doing?
Yeah, now Twins is making a mistake. They saw that and like, okay, I'm going to go into pub mindset, right? Where I'm just going to reduce resource when we see the pickup on the Claudette. You should be going immediately back for that pickup. There's 2 people there. Let's down them both and call it a day. But instead, they're forcing out resources. And by the time they're able to do much, the last 4 are going to be out.
They should have just picked up and hooked right away. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I mean, if you're going to commit with Charlotte there, you should have picked up, got in the points, call it a day. But in reality, I think the main play would have been to go out with Victor and try and slug out as many people as possible in that scenario.
Yeah. There was just not enough slugging. Like, they went back and picked up one person instead of slugging them on the ground and having pressure. I mean, to be fair to the Twins, to Crafty, he did get more hooks than the Milkshake Mafia, I believe. So I assume they'll get more points than the demo last game.
Yeah, that is a fair point and fair assessment. And with that being said, Shelby, what is the score at the end of that match?
The survivors of Milkshake Mafia had a perfect score of 50, and the Twins had 20. So we are looking at a total of Milkshake Mafia at 65 and Legacy at 70. They evened out because they both had perfect survivor games. But obviously, a bit of a difference in the killers.
So the game is still really close, only a 5-point difference. So it's anyone's match at this point in time.
I really think that not picking up right away at that pallet and risking someone being there, even after, I mean, they looked around for a second, didn't see anybody. I think that was a play, even if there was DS, like a 1 in 4 chance, you had to pick up.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, think of it this way. It's not just about making sure that you get the most points as possible, but also ensuring that your opponents get the least amount of points as possible. If they would have hooked Claudette, reduced the amount of outs from 4 to 3, that's 12 points out of the survivors' pockets at that point in time, dropping their score of 50 down to 38. Meaning that you would have had an additional 12-point addition in that gap, so it would have been a 17-point match in comparison to a 5.
No, yeah, exactly. I'm not sure what the decision was there, unless they kind of just, wanted it to be a close game or something. Like, 4 out each, take it.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's hard to say. I think just at the end of the day, the pressure probably got to them. I'm wanting to confirm real quick, Shelby. Are we going to see Crafty as killer a second time here on the Pale Rose?
I am not sure. I actually just messaged to find out, so I am not sure.
Thank you. I do appreciate it. Well, in the meantime, obviously we analyzed that Twins match, what they could have done differently, what they did right. From that perspective, what do you think that Legacy needs to bring to the table this next match on Pale Rose in order to try and solidify their lead going into Game 4?
The Pale Rose. Damn. Well, I think they need to bring in, if they want to solidify the lead, they need to bring in a good killer here. And I'm not sure. No. This is the one thing where I would say Blight might not be the best.
Yeah,
call.
slip and slide hell is what I call that map.
Yeah, no. I see this. You should have brought the Twins on that map, and they could have had Blight on this map, man.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, I thankfully and unfortunately I've played enough Pale Rose now of Blight where I know every object I can bounce off of, but even then it's still a pain in the freaking rear end because you're like, oh, I want to bounce off of that tree trunk, but I can't. I know that.
Yeah, I know there's a bunch. There's still a bunch of times where like, oh, I've bumped off this thing before, and then you'll still slide off it.
Yep.
So like, there's certain angles you can approach it from, and you'll get a hit. And other ways, like oh, I can bump off this obstacle and slide.
Yep.
You're like, wait, no, all my pressure.
Yeah, I know, it can be rough. It can be rough on Blight sometimes, because you really do want to, especially on those middle loops on Pale Rose, or, the Grim Pantry. So those middle loops, there are just certain things that you can't bounce off of, so normally be able to, like, close out that loop faster and just Blight around and get the down or eat the pallet. But then in other times, you're like, well, I can't do that because there's nothing for me to bounce off of. And
We
she'll-
are good on all of the builds, so we
All
are
right.
good to go.
Nice.
I
Let's
do
get
want to
it in
confirm
fast.
if you could just message Crafty to switch over to Pale Rose. I don't think I saw it.
Let me double. I did message them already, but I will I'll go and double check.
That'd be good. That'd be
Thank
good.
you, thank
Yeah.
you. Don't have to do another restart. You know, we don't want to ruin the surprise for the survivors.
All right. I don't know who else they would bring that on the Pale Rose. Like, I think it's a top tier killer because you said they used Nurse and Spirit in their first like exhibition game, or did that not really like count?
It didn't count because it was a forfeit, and theoretically speaking, this being another exhibition game, it really doesn't matter.
Right.
You know, I'd like to see different killers than those that they had played prior, but since they already had used that prior, you know, I would love to see someone that is not a Spirit or not a Nurse. Maybe see a Huntress. You know, Pero's not bad for Huntress if you're a good long-range sniper, but we'll have to wait and see.
Still a 110 killer, and there are things you can do. You just play around main and various logs and such, and you just limit line of sight, and it makes it a pain if you're a good survivor.
True,
Right.
true.
But if you're like a, you know, you're going to pub team, sure, you can do a ton of stuff, and it's fun. But yeah, against a good team, it's gonna be they're not gonna make it like easy shots for you.
No, absolutely. You know, I do wish, I don't think we've seen, I think we saw one Huntress. We saw Alex the Plug use Huntress on, like, Wrecker's Yard, and did an amazing job because all they did was pretty much sit on a hill and force survivors to go for unsafe unhooks and just nail them in the back every single time.
Yeah. Well, let's see what happens here. So
I'm very excited, and sure enough, we do
it's
see
the Blight!
Blight.
It's the Ferryman Blight, bro. Why didn't you do this last game, Crafty? I was just saying this, please.
Well,
And then you just went in a circle.
yeah, that was an interesting play there. You know, maybe they're trying to find some objects to bounce off of, which can be difficult on this map. It's not impossible to play Blight on this map, let's be real, but it definitely is going to be a difficult game for them nonetheless.
I mean, if they're confident in it, I say all the power to them, and I want to see how this goes.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And we do see them on Nancy. One thing I will note right here is that why did you not rush Nancy? Yeah, there's a pallet there, but you could have rushed them and tried to get at least a little bit of distance. And now in this situation, you've already lost them.
Nancy just bamboozled them. My
Yeah,
goodness.
100%. By the way, can I just
More mind
say,
games.
real quick, love this Blight skin. It is officially one of my favorite cosmetics at this point in time.
Man, look at that hand. It's just so pretty. I can look at that hand and that stick, the Ferryman stick, the paddle.
And the attention to detail on this cosmetic is just literally insane.
Oh yeah. Did you know there's like a ghost face little mask on his
Yep.
leg? Yeah, it's so neat. All right, well back into it. He is chasing my brain, Fang Min, coming out here. Going to get a hit, easy hits, and probably gonna follow this up with some charges. You can bounce off that. What? Fang, what are you doing?
Yeah. So A, Fangman vaults back into the Blight. B, Blight didn't really rush at all there, which I was questioning.
I am mega confused right now. All right, well they got a gen done in the meantime, so I guess good job, Fang. I don't know. And he sees with barbecue, he sees two survivors here. Can't quite reach them because that's a big dead space. And I'm also confused. Is this like a pub build for Blight?
It's kind of looking like it, right? Like, obviously, the add-ons make sense, though. Personally, I'd go with the Dead Crow and the Dead Rat. But Corrupt Invention makes sense. Ruin makes sense. Undying on this map makes sense because the totem spawns are freaking nutty.
Yeah.
What I am surprised about is not seeing potentially Tinker. I know some people will say, oh, Blight doesn't need Tinker, but, like, there's no harm in having Tinker on Blight.
Bro, it's nutty. You can basically go over and pressure it instantly and have free pressure. I think it's really good. Like, honestly, what I would probably bring is Ruin, Pop, Corrupt, and Tinkerer as a comp build because with Blight you're assuming going to get a decent amount of downs as well. So you have that early Ruin value, especially on this map with hard totems to find, and then Pop later on if they do find it. So
exactly. No, 100% agree. And also, to clarify for those asking in chat, yes, Legacy is able to use Blight again. For those who did miss it earlier on in the stream, this is an exhibition match between Legacy and Milkshake Mafia, as Legacy did not have enough people on their roster for today's match. So Milkshake Mafia does get the win automatically. And thus, since it's an exhibition match, they have free reign to use what they want accordingly.
Yeah, it would be nice to see. I mean, I like seeing Blight games, so I'm not complaining, but it's unfortunate they know that. What? Fame! Another hook.
Yeah, another hook on Fang. I will also mention earlier, I forgot to mention it, but, you know, I'm very surprised that Blight went for that pickup on Feng Min. As a killer, I'm very attentive to the fact that the Obsession is normally going to be one who is carrying DS, especially where only one DS is available in these matches. And so very surprised that Blight took that risk, as DS does up your possibility of being the Obsession.
I mean, they were touching the gen and everything, so I don't really see a huge problem with it.
Oh no, here it doesn't it makes sense. They already ate the DS early on small boat. That's what I was saying there.
Yeah. I agree with that one. I think they also wanted to get out of the way, so now they're like free tunnel, and they know they can tunnel anybody.
Yeah, but if Ruin's still up, I mean, a slug's not bad, right? It means that there's one person slug, one person has to go for the pickup, and in the meanwhile, if you find someone else, that means there's 3 people off of gens. It's a no-brainer in my opinion.
And Fane's dead right now. Fane is legit dead.
Yeah, unless this Claude is able to body block, but no dice.
This was actually really well done from Crafty, getting that DS out of the way. This person is still slowed because Claude tried to take that body block. It did not work. He's going to rush back there right now and get some extra pressure. And look at that. 2 gens still left. Oh! Oh, forgot the barrel. Nice.
Yeah, very, very close on that there, but they're now out in no man's land, and they froze themselves. They swung a little bit too late. For those who are not aware, do not play Blight. If you swing a little bit too early on your rush or too late on your rush, you'll end up freezing yourself, and it also makes it so that your hitbox is non-existent. So one of the worst things that you can do with Blight, it's basically equivalent of Nurse's Blink Bug for all intent and purpose.
Yeah, I actually really like Crafty right now on this Blight because I'm not sure if you saw that, but he had a nice, really shoulder bash. He didn't actually swing too early to allow for any sort of 360 or movement. He swung right at the right time. Oh, what was that? Was that a reverse pallet drop?
I think that, I don't know if they're purposely trying to go for a reverse pallet stun, or if that was just a panic moment where they spam space and just ended up with them on the wrong side of the pallet.
Yeah, I think that might have been it. They just spammed it too early. That's unfortunate. That gives them a free hook.
It does give them that free hook, and this generator that they've been trying to pressure for so long now just keeps on regressing with Ruin. Like I said, on Pale Rose or any Backwater Swamp map, you know, the totem spawns are really, really good, so unless you have someone with a totem hunting build, it really is painful for you as a team to try and capitalize off of gens with a killer like Blight in the mix.
I was about to say that exact thing. On this map in particular, I would have no issue putting a perk slot just in Detective's Hunch.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think with how common Ruin is to see in comp, I think just having Detective's Hunch or Small Game and you knowing the totem spawns is a must in my opinion. Technically you don't need them, but
no.
You know, I think on this map you do.
On most maps, I would say don't, because you should know enough at that point if you're playing in comp where common totem spawns are, and like how to find other ones in general. So I wouldn't say it's needed on most maps, but on something like this where they can legit just spawn in random corners, I think you need it. Especially if you want to get rid of Ruin. Like Ruin with Blights or like any high mobility killer is nasty.
Yeah, no, exactly. But with that being said, you know, we see here Dwight is now in chase and does end up going down.
Well, no, Claude is injured as well. Going to go for the save right now. That's actually going to be really bad because everyone is injured. Oh, boom, right there.
Yeah, but Blight swung a little bit too soon on that. Did not even get the BT hit on Nancy. No. And now Claude's going to be running the Pale Rose and trying to get to this pallet as soon as possible and does get the stun.
That was nice. All his pressure sort of, not all his pressure, but some of his pressure evaporated there. If he got this, oh, what? He just ran back into him. No!
But Blight missing that hit. I don't know if that was a 360 or if that was just a false hit on the Blight.
It might have been. It looks like Nancy did reset herself. Didn't want to be injured when they went for some sort of save or pickup, just in case Blight came back and zoomed back and was like, hey, I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. And so that there will be another hook for the Blight. And, I mean, they only have one gen left, so these survivors could very easily get a 3-man out.
They could, but right now, Blight is on track to get a ton of hooks. So much pressure on him right now. Yeah, hit the Nancy. There you go. Got everyone injured once more. A ton of slugging potential, especially with the 5 charges. Defense not even bothering with that Claude. Oh, BT almost over. It doesn't quite get it. Oh, that's unfortunate. Look at that gen. It's almost fully regressed now. It's like, what, 50%? And they cannot get rid of it because of Ruin still up.
Yeah, it's a very, very difficult spot for them to be in, to say the least.
And a questionable running right there by Dwight as well. I don't know where he was trying to go.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I mean, right now, they're definitely in a difficult position, but they just need to reset, maybe choose to take the time to hunt down Ruin with this first hook here, and try and get that middle gen just done.
Maybe the reason why he ran that way is because he wanted to be hooked and they needed to just reset and try to find that totem. If they find that totem, I think they can get that last gen done. Was that a fast save, or was that... what?
That was a fast save. Nancy was in the corner. You may have missed her. She was very briefly back there. I think very possibly looking for Ruin. And since she was already over there, went for that fast save. Looks like Claudia did heal herself.
Yep, as I said, they were going to try to reset, at least to some extent here. Gets the window. Actually, this Nancy is actually running quite well and confusing the Blight, especially like early game. And links to another window. Oh, didn't vault it for some reason. Electing instead to go up here using balance. Oh, but doesn't quite have enough space. You should have gone for the window and trying to gone back around for another loop there, Nancy. Unfortunate.
Yeah, even though you do have a reduced stun with balanced landing at 75%, you still take that little bit of stun. And if the killer is smart, they can capitalize on that before you do get that sprint boost.
Exactly, and he swung at the perfect time. He got that extended lunge, and it worked out for him. I think I would have just taken that window and gone right or left, depending on what he did, and came back to it and maybe had enough distance. Right now, it looks like they do find the Dwight again, if I'm not mistaken. No, that's the Claude. I didn't see the shadow in time. But I think the Claude is going to try to take the window, which they will not be able to get in time. Instead, going to go run back around inside, maybe try to lose the Blight in this main little maze down here at the docks. And yeah, it kind of worked for a second. Kind of worked. I feel like scratch marks in this area can just be messed up. Like you're never really for certain. Oh, and not quite getting to the pallet. Unfortunate. Another down right here from the Claude, and I'm not sure. Is this Deathhook? I'm pretty sure this is Deathhook.
Yeah, I do believe this is Deathhook as, actually no, this should not be Deathhook, I think, because Dwight was only hooked once, so he has 2 more hook states, so yeah, this is second stage for the Claudette.
He's really maximizing on his hook count at this point. I'd honestly just let myself go, and hopefully that Dwight can maybe find the hatch.
Yeah, I think that might be the best play here. I mean, Hatch has spawned. We have not seen it in our chases with the Blight. So it would mean that Blight is not privy to the knowledge of where Hatch is. And I think Blight may have just gotten a little bit too aggressive, arguably. And, you know, ended up going for the hook rather than slugging out for the 4K.
Oh, 100%. I think, yeah, honestly, he still did such a fantastic job, and this really puts pressure on the Milkshake Mafia killer to come up really clutch. But let's see what happens here. He's kind of just proxying the area. Doesn't want the save to come through. But right now, I'd honestly just let the save happen and try to find Hatch. Because you don't really have a risk of them finishing that gen, I assume.
Yeah, I don't think that will be the case. I think that Dwight's just out here looking for Hatch desperately. And I guess we'll find out in a moment whether or not he finds, knows where it is.
And this is the same thing where hats on this map can be dumb.
Oh yeah, it can be on the outskirts, it can be in the middle. It has some very, very strange spawns, and I'm surprised that Blight isn't using his power to get around to find this hatch ASAP.
Yeah, like I said, I think he just hasn't been using his rushes as much at a few spots, like the docks and other areas where he could have rushed. He just wasn't using them. He's still running, he's just walking.
Yeah, he has 5 charges, he has all the time in the world, and we even see scratch marks out in the distance there if Dwight were running about. And he does find the hatch because of that.
I think if he was using his charges and he was going around the outside, he could have found that. Interesting. Well, a good game nonetheless for the Blights, but missed out on a few hook stages from the Dwight.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's still points in Milkshake Mafia's favor, but not as many as it could have been. And with that being said, you know, what is the point total at the end of that match?
Yeah, so Legacy has 114 and Milkshake Mafia has 82. He did increase their lead by quite a bit with all of those hooks. He only had 2 progressions and only missed out on the 2 on Dwight, so quite a few actual hooks.
So I think in this case, basically what Milkshake Mafia needs to do is get as many kills as possible, as few gens as possible. Is it possible for them to win? Yes, but it is going to be a difficult match for them to come back from.
I think so. I think they just need to, respond with their own heavy hitter.
100%. 100%.
I'm not sure if I would recommend Blight in this map. Again, brave Crafty for deciding to switch the two and not use Blight in the last map. But
I 110% agree. With that being said, we do need to find out who is going to be killing on Milkshake Mafia's side. And once we do, we'll get into the lobby.
oh yeah, bro, this has got me amped because it's like any way you can go.
Oh, 100%, 100%. And also, I do want to take a moment to apologize to Milkshake Mafia. I did not make it clear enough when mentioning that this is an exhibition match. I'm going to probably make a rule in the rules for exhibition matches stating that basically it's no holds barred, use who you want. So yes, that is correct. You can use whoever you wanted based on that. So if you want to bring a nurse, if you want to bring a spirit who you've already used, blight, what have you, go right on ahead. And I will, formally apologize to Milkshake Mafia for that mix-up and not communicating that clearly enough. And I'll do so by creating a rule in the rules for exhibition matches specifically.
Sounds fair, less confusion.
Exactly. I mean, hey, that's what Season 0 is for. And obviously, it's rough having these exhibition matches. You want to have a full match where, the end result really does matter. Because Legacy in this case is, no matter what, as a reminder, taking a loss due to them forfeiting with not having enough players on their roster for this match. Where Milkshake Mafia will walk away with the win, no matter what the point totals are.
Yeah, but we guess we have to see what would have happened if it wasn't the case to that degree.
Gotcha. So, well, with that being said, we'll end up jumping into this next match once we do know who is killing.
Again, if they have the same guy killing, I really just hope that, he had some good ideas, but the execution wasn't there. He just went to the wrong areas, chasing the wrong spots, and it was a very big map. So I probably suggest Run Undying on this map will serve him better, as it did with the Blight.
Yeah, exactly. Which then, we might see that the Survivor team might, keep that in mind, and they might bring a small game, as we were kind of saying, or a detective's hunch, and try and hunt those down early so that they don't fall into the same pitfall that we saw the Survivors in the last match.
I think small game has a really good solo queue thing if you're trying to find totems, but detective's hunch in a full-on comp scene where you have everyone talking to each other, you can call it every single totem essentially. By the first game or two, right? So you go, there's a totem here, and assuming you have a clock system or you know top and bottom, and you can very easily point out where, if assuming the person communicating knows what they're doing. So
yeah, no, 110%. I agree with you on that one. So I personally always go for detectives. I have heard that some people do small game because it's at least something that you can use when totems are not totems, but gens haven't been done yet.
Yeah, I know. I feel like you should always be able to get one gen done, though. No matter who it is, you should be able to get the first gen done within, the first chase or two. At least the first two chases, you should have one gen done, even if you're, not even the greatest team. Because he can't be everywhere, right? The killer can't be everywhere at once.
Exactly. 110% agree.
Bro, but do you agree to 120%? Okay. I know you like the 110%, but 120... I need that. All right, the 120 is the goal.
Gotcha. I see.
All right. Yeah.
We can even go for... now that obviously Milkshake Mafia is aware that this is an exhibition match, do we think that they might return a favor of another S tier? Would that be Nurse, Spirit, or Blight?
Yeah, I could 100% see that. I assume that they didn't, because they didn't know this exhibition, they were curious about the Blight pick. Was that it? Or I'm not sure.
Yeah, so that was exactly it. They did end up using Blight. I thought it was just Nurse and Spirit on the match against Legacy versus Torment, where what's his exhibition match? Apparently there was a Blight match there. Obviously, back in that match, it was mentioned that as no holds bars, the killer choices will not count against them. Obviously, in this match, it was not as accurately communicated, so I'll make it more clear in the rules in the future, as I mentioned earlier. And so they're curious about, we didn't know that. So... maybe this match they'll end up bringing a different killer instead, someone that they may have already used who is S tier, A tier, or what have you.
No, there's no reason they shouldn't bring an S tier killer. So we're seeing Spirit, Nurse, or Blade, right? You know what could be kind of no. I was gonna say, you know what can be kind of nutty on this map, because there's a lot of some sort of like dead space and some interesting things you can do. You can bring Plague, and if you have a good start, your Corrupt Purge can do some serious damage in these dead zones. And there's some like loops that aren't very tall, except for in like main building and the dock. You have a lot of line of sight that you can just hit survivors with very easily. So I don't know. I feel like that's some sort of niche sort of pick, but you can do some hot stuff with Plague.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. It really does depend on those RNG spawns, though, with the pools.
Yeah.
And that will be the hard part. If they spawn a lot near gens, that's one thing.
Again, yeah, it comes down to a tiny bit with the RNG. I sometimes bring like an extra pool spawn as well myself, just so that you have a better chance. And then assuming you have like you get people infected pretty quickly, and then you pick up one of your pools right away, and you start getting slugging potential, and you're downing people really fast. They're gonna be like, "Oh crap, maybe we need to cleanse. We need to get this one person that's on Deathlook to cleanse," and they start to cleanse. But the one thing that is kind of bad on this map, I will say, for Plague, since I've played her a decent amount, is that the pool spawns are also kind of like totems and hatch. They can go on the very, very edges, and you might be boned. So
Exactly.
I don't know if I'd agree with that choice. I actually know.
100%. Real quick, Shelby, are we good to go?
Yeah, we are. All team or both teams are good.
Sweet. Let's do it. Let's see the last match.
Awesome. We'll have to wait and see who they bring. Who knows? I feel like we've only seen a handful of Plague matches. I still love to see more Plague. Plague, I do feel, is a underrated killer because not a lot of people know how to play them effectively.
Yep.
So I would love to see a Plague match again in the future. But I definitely feel like, since they asked the question of, okay, can we reuse killers? I'm definitely thinking like Nurse, Spirit, Light, maybe a Twins, something like that.
I think, what was it, like Odds' tier list, he puts Plague at like high A or A+. Like he put her really high up. And I think he had his longest win streak like in pubs, like over like 100 and some, 100 like 20, 30. I don't remember the exact number with Plague because she's so nutty.
I do believe she's good. I don't think she's A tier. I think like if I'm putting in my A tier, I'm looking at, starting from top to bottom, looking at Twins, Hag, Freddy, Pyramid Head, and Nemesis. And then maybe putting Plague in high B.
Nemesis?
Nemesis, I think, because a lot of people don't know how to play Nemesis yet. Because they honestly have one of the best anti-loop abilities in the game if played right. The hard part is knowing when to break pallets and when to hit a survivor over a pallet. Once you hit tier 2 and the person you're chasing is not infected, you can very personally aim at the corner of pallets as soon as they break, and it's an insta-shred while you still have movement, making him honestly one of the strongest anti-loop killers in the game, in my opinion.
I'd say when we see in season 1, I'm just gonna tell you he shouldn't do well. Here's what you do: you just hold W. The first few chases, you hold W. You basically limit line of sight and you win. That's how it should be in comp.
I think in comp you are correct, but when I'm talking about my tier list, I'm really looking at the average player versus the average player. If we're looking at a comp tier list, it gets thrown way off.
And then they respond with the Blight, though. And look, he got the slide.
Yeah, like I said, slip and slide to hell out here. It's not kind to those who have not played on this map.
Oh god.
And I think Cake is experiencing just that, where maybe they don't exactly have enough experience on the Pale Rose and Backwater Swamp to know what they can slide off of, what they can't slide off of, and how to bounce on specific objects. And I think that's definitely going to show in this match.
The pizza man, get him! Oh, not quite. Oh, they get to a pallet.
Yeah, I think that was a sprint burst, just a little bit of distance to get to that tile. Like, will probably get a hit on this swing if they do it early enough, and they do.
Hold on. I'm still almost just cackling over. Let me slide! Oh, they still reached it though. They should get this. Oh, not quite turning in time. The flick not coming through. Going to pallet, I'm just gonna drop it instantly.
So here's a good question. In that moment, obviously we see that down happening. Blight suffers from a similar thing that I suffer from, which is my left-handed flicks are always going to be worse than my right-handed flicks. How do you work against that, or is there a good way to do so?
like as from the killer perspective of like how you want to approach it.
Yeah, how do you want to approach that left-hand side flick versus the right side flick?
For me, it doesn't change too much. I am on console, so you can. I mean, since the recent changes, you can almost do the exact same thing like Lilith, like you said, one of the big Blight players. He said that he tested it out himself. You can do almost the exact same stuff to a little bit smaller extent with the flick for like not quite a 180, but like a 120, like 140, depending on your speed add-ons and such. Oh my goodness, they're struggling so much. But I honestly don't have too much of a problem with it. You have to do the flick early enough to try to get like a shoulder bash. It's called. Yeah, you just have to be fast enough with your reaction time. He did not have fast enough reaction time to actually do that.
I think my biggest struggle personally on Blight is when I try and go for the left-handed flick. It's because of like the amount of space I have for my mouse and everything. I don't have enough space to go left, where my mouse is normally over on the left-hand side a lot more, so I have so much more space for the right-handed flick where I can get that 120 flick for the most part.
Maybe you just need to up your DPI, but I assume you're really used to your DPI, so that might be tricky.
Yeah, exactly. That's always the fun part.
Yeah, now back on the Nia here. I mean, he's kind of getting bamboozled by like all the dock area and the main boat. It's like, where are they running?
Yeah, I mean, he is struggling a little bit here, as we are seeing. We're seeing a lot of slides and a little bit of impatience, I would say, on how to navigate certain areas. Here at docks, we saw them hitting a lot of those corners, and it just shows lack of map knowledge, in my opinion, in those situations. You know, not being able to recognize, okay, I can't really go this way, I need to go this way and cut them off here instead.
Oh yeah, I fully agree with that. He had a good hit on the Nancy there, at least.
Yeah, really good hit on Nancy. Very surprised they did not choose to slide on Shaq there, because they could have done so really easily.
Oh yeah, I just don't think this, I don't think Cake is really fully aware of that.
Yeah, because if you bounce that doorway, you can slide on that right-hand side and get to the doorway with a hit on the flick. And it is so, so satisfying to see. But unlike that, Blight is going to be struggling to try and avoid 2 Tinker Procs going off, but does get the down on Nancy, at least stopping 1 gen from popping.
That was nice. I might also point out, this was the exact build that I said I would bring to the comp soon.
Yep,
this is what I would do.
This is exactly what I bring as well. In my pubs, I barbecue. But for comp, Corrupt is a perk that is just irreplaceable for the most part. And just a heads up here, guys, do apologize, having some tech issues as we're not able to hear all 4 Domo at this point in time. We do see another Tinker Proc go off. I'll be trying to fix the video, or voice rather, here in just a few seconds so that we can hear all 4 Domo once again. Do apologize about that, and appreciate you guys bearing with me. Alright, we do see another hook on the ace, and Blight's starting to learn how to navigate that area a little bit better, which is very good to see. And let's see if everyone can hear everyone right now, but it's not looking like it. Discord, give me a bit of a fit here. Do apologize ahead of time, guys. But we do see Shaq Pallet does go down by the Nancy, and looks like Blight is going to stick by this hook for the time being and try and continue the pressure, potentially to Death Hook. We'll see if that is going to continue to be the case, but instead, looks like Blight is going to opt to go for the chase on Nancy, and will be going for the down rather than sticking out by the hook. Does end up back towards the small boat, and Blight walking this one out. Not Nancy, Nia is out in no man's land, and does end up getting the down. Looks like another hook for the Blight here. And another Tinker Proc in the distance. Let's see if he's able to get there in time before it does pop off.
nothing. He's just waiting out, dropping that pallet to assume. Nicely done. Blight assumedly wanted that pallet to be dropped, and he's going to come right back to this gen once he saw that it was no longer repressed. He's getting a little bit confused and bumping off things as the swamp does to people.
Yep,
Let's
exactly.
See. Yeah, and Nia. Oh, vaulting back in. Gonna take the down. Man, I feel like these survivors are just getting a little confused on what's going on sometimes. This is a much better game from the Milkshake Mafia killer in comparison to last, where they played demo.
Yeah, no, this is pretty much night and day, and it does show a little bit more of their confidence on S-tier killers, though I will say it feels like they've kind of learned how to play this map in real time here.
Yeah, I feel like at the very beginning I was laughing so hard they slid off 2 objects, and now they're like, okay, I'm only gonna bump off objects I know, because this map sucks. Did he get to the pallet in time? No, there's nothing for them to work with. They're kind of out in the dead zone. Is he gonna slug this and go back to the last gen? Yes, smart man, Blight. Get back over there, Ferryman. Take out the Nancy, which I assume is on the gen. Oh, slugging again. No.
Looks like Nancy was actually probably not on the gen, since we see that blood a little bit far off. I think it was the Jake instead, and Nancy going down into the platforms.
Or she just ran really early as soon as she saw him going down the stairs.
Yeah, true, not a bad point. Looks like Jake is going to continue to pressure this gen, which I think is a smart play. If Jake just continues to pressure gen, it's going to mean that Blight's just not able to get back to the Pale Rose for the pickup. Yeah. And then Jake's going to be immediately back on the gen, and he's going to just, you know, eke out pressure until we see a Tinker pop come out here.
Yeah, there's the Tinker right there.
Now he has to make a decision. Do I commit to the chase, or do I go for the Tink? And looks like he's going to drop chase, but will it be fast enough? As I do believe that there might be 2 people on the gen, but appears not to be the case here.
Not quite. Looks like, yeah, I think they got the save and they got the pickup, and then Jake decided to press it. Oh, you're caught out, Ace. Oh no, the slide! Look at that. That was a guaranteed down essentially, and then the slide just destroyed him.
Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, I'm surprised that the Ace is out here. If I was him, I would be out with Nancy, just trying to reset, and Blight just struggling now to try and get this down.
Oh my god, this is an annoying spot for Blight to be in right now. I honestly, Cake's the gameplay just makes me feel like a pinball right now. He's just bouncing around so many different. I swear he does a 180 U-turn every single time. Oh, I'm not quite getting the hit. That's gonna waste a lot of time right there.
And we see Ace there on the gen to the right. Not sure what he's doing there. I think Blight has taken note of that as well. Very surprised at them being that close to the Blight. And like I said, if all they need to do, coordinate with Nancy, get the heal, and pressure the gen, do what Jake was doing, and you guys can just eke out the game while one person sits on a separate gen, and you're golden.
Honestly, what I might do at this point is I might just reset the 3 of them. They go into a corner of the spot, reset real quick, and then they can just attack those gens. It might regress a bit, but as long as they'll be healthy. And it looks like they might be doing that. Jake heals himself up. Maybe the Nancy's there with them. Oh, they get the nice flick. I think this Ace right here, he needs to not be so greedy. I think he needs to look back at this match and like, I should have dropped that god pallet. I should have dropped this pallet much earlier.
Oh yeah, I should have dropped the pallet, should have stayed away from the Blight. You know, it is really surprising him on Death Hook, you know, being this close to the Blight in chase time and time again.
Like, I can understand if you're healthy and you want to take that hit maybe to extend it and come back around, but if you're injured and you're on Death Hook as well, and you're just trying to buy time for your team to get a last gen done, because now, think about it, there's 2 people, 1 gen left with a Tinker Blight. This is not good, especially with Ruin up.
Well, not to mention that, but also Nancy's still injured. So if Blight sees the Tinker, if I'm him, I'm going straight for that, down in the Nancy, and then going back for Jake.
100%, I would do the exact same thing. Honestly, he's having some struggle here, though, with the Jake at this Killer Shack. Doing a good job overall. Oh, and gets the shoulder flick onto Jake, and probably just going to slug him, come back over here.
Yep, and we see a 8-second regression on Small Boat, and now Blight knows exactly where Nancy is, goes for the chase, and their only hope is to have Jake with maybe Unbreakable, as I don't think we've seen that in the match thus far.
Well, that's the only thing that they can really have to come back from this, and if so, I believe that Milkshake Mafia will come out on top, especially if they did that escape, and right now, that might be the case. Gonna come around the side. Oh, doesn't click the shoulder flick. Doesn't have the reaction time on that exact rush to get the Nancy. Nancy played that really well and came out at the perfect time.
Yeah, and they do get Jake back up, but it's all for naught as his progress is now fully reset.
Yeah, instantly tapped and down, and that seems like it's probably going to be the game, especially if he didn't use the Unbreakable before. a quick hook. He knows where Jake is. Not going to be long before he gets another one. Death hook, and is this the first hook for Jake, I assume?
Yeah, this is first hook for Jake.
So just 2 progressions. I'm not sure if that's actually going to matter in the end because they do get the 4K comparison to the 3K last game by Crafty on Legacy.
Funny enough, hatch spawned right there too.
Yeah,
so that was wicked close.
I mean, it was close. It was an entertaining game. We got to see 2 Blights on this slidey, slippery map.
Yeah, it's slip and slide hell, but, you know, both Blights admittedly did do a good job. Obviously, Cake here, you know, struggling a little bit at first, but was able to get their bearings towards the end.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And, I mean, let's see what the end score is, if you have that, Shelby.
I do. I was kind of having to bounce back and forth to catch up where we had missed off. But
Yeah.
Team Legacy had 128 points, and Milkshake Mafia, really with that last game, they had every single hook except for the 2 progressions came in with 136. So it goes to Milkshake Mafia.
So really, really close game here, and a really enjoyable one to watch as well.
Oh, yeah, GG's all around, and it looks like, you know, milkshakes are just better for you, I guess. I don't know. I like milkshakes.
Milkshakes are pretty good. Can't complain with that.
Yeah. Honestly, they're delicious. So I'm kind of happy, you know. I'm not the mafia, you know, but milkshakes. Milkshakes, yes.
Well, that being said, indeed, GG well played to both Legacy and Milkshake Mafia. Whether it's an exhibition match or not, Milkshake Mafia does end up coming up on top. And just, like I said, really enjoyable matches. Very happy to be able to be here with you today, Domo. And Domo, I know they stream here and there. If chat did want to come see you here and there, where would they go find you?
Just look me up on Twitch at all4domo, just the all and the 4 is a number, and then Domo, and you should be able to find me pretty easily. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm gonna hopefully do this again soon with you, bro. And yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, we're coming up to finals here, and then after that, September 5th, we're gonna be starting season 1. But this was officially the end of the regular season. So I'll let you all know in the Discord chat when these next matches will be. But with that being said, I'm your commissioner and primary host, Guiltspire. I'm an educational Dead by Daylight player here to teach killers how to play killer and survivors how to play against killer. So come find me over on twitch.tv/Guiltspire. And with that being said, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.